there's always going to be this huge asterisk next to his name. Right now is the time to give Miles Morales his own unique superhero name. What's up, everybody? Trinity here. Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel, where today I will be talking about Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and this sort of larger conversation that people have been having regarding superheroes, their names, their identities, and their mantles. It is kind of a big topic of discussion between us comic book nerds and even comic book movie nerds as well. If you like what you see in this video, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell and all that good stuff, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't like it, it's okay. You can give it a thumbs down. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Now, I'm not going to be going into a full review of Across the Spider-Verse or anything like that. I went and seen the movie on Thursday when it premiered with my son, and then I went and seen it a couple days later with my whole family as my daughters wanted to see it. I'll just share my thoughts really quick. I think the movie was pretty dang good. I did like it a little bit more than the first one, although I feel like the animation and everything was a little bit of a step down from the first movie Into the Spider-Verse, but that's just if you ask me. I think this movie did just do some different cool things with the story and these characters all together, which is kind of what made me want to make this particular video. If you've watched Across the Spider-Verse, you see that what is going on is Miles Morales is going through and dealing with this new villain named Spot, and he ends up being like this multiversal character who can step through his spots into different parts of the multiverse. Throughout the course of the story, Miles Morales ends up getting into the multiverse when he's not supposed to be. He even knows he's not supposed to be. He has this whole thing with Gwen Stacy, who is Spider-Woman at this point from what we see in the movie. And yes, I put that in quotes for a reason, because if you go and check out the comic books, she's been known as Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, and who knows what else. If I left one out, let me know down in the comments below. That in itself is something that kind of sparked this conversation in my mind, and something that I wanted to do with regards to Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and why I think right now is the time to give Miles Morales his own unique superhero name. Now, I know that's something that's triggering to a lot of people. You know, everybody's like, oh, Miles Morales is Spider-Man. When it comes to this larger conversation, it seems like we see all of these different multiversal versions of Spider-Man, different versions of him out there, of Peter Parker, the original Spider-Man. And yes, there's other spiders out there, spider people, if you will, Spider-Man, however you want to put it. I'm not here to offend anybody. Regardless, there are these different versions of him, and I think now is the time to do and give Miles Morales his own unique Spider-Man name or identity. That is to go into this conversation that a lot of people, you know, get all heated about as Miles Morales being a Spider-Man. I'm not saying that if you give him his own unique superhero name that he isn't a Spider-Man. I feel that what happens in this movie and Across the Spider-Verse, which I think is arguably better story-wise than Into the Spider-Verse was, I think they did enough things in this movie that really kind of set Miles Morales on his own path and made him more of a unique character. If you go read the comic books, he really has all of his Spider-Man same villains, a lot of the same story arcs and things like that. It's really just kind of a reskinned version of Peter Parker. And I know many people feel differently about that. We've got to admit that that's got at least some truth to it. However, we can take a look at, you know, where these guys are fighting crime at there in New York City, obviously different parts of the city, and sure, he would probably end up facing some of the same villains, but I also think that one thing when it comes to a lot of superheroes is many of the different superheroes out there in the Marvel Universe have some of their own unique supervillains. I think in this movie, they just did some things in it. The writing in here was so good with this particular story and Across the Spider-Verse that I think it really does set Miles Morales up to be more of his own unique character. One of the things I definitely liked in the movie was the part where we see where Miles Morales is there in Nueva York, and he's sitting there fighting and trying to escape all of the different Spider-Men, and Miguel O'Hara is sitting there beating him down. They obviously did some kind of real meta commentary in here. It's something they know that, you know, a lot of fans do feel strongly about, whether you're on what side of the fence of the conversation that you're on when it comes to that. But I think in this story, they did do things unique to him where he kind of really started to come into his own in this movie. I think that's why there's no better time now than to give him his own unique Spider-Man name. They did start to do things in this movie that really start to set him apart from Peter Parker. I'm not saying, as I said, that he's not going to be a Spider-Man or anything like that. We can see there's plenty of Spider characters out there. But even in this movie, we see Gwen Stacy start to call herself Spider-Woman, which again draws confusion from fans when you're going to start talking about some of these different characters. Oh, Spider-Woman. Well, which Spider-Woman? Are we talking about Jessica Drew? Are we talking about Gwen Stacy? Or who are we talking about? Or when it comes to Spider-Man, I feel like if you're just going to name him Spider-Man, there's always going to be this huge asterisk next to his name. And I feel like giving him his own unique name and superhero identity would help eliminate some of that confusion when it comes to Spider-Man. And there's obviously different Spider-Man stories where you have like the Amazing Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, a bunch of different ones that all kind of signify that you're reading a different story than say like the Amazing Spider-Man. While some of those are still Peter Parker, there's still kind of this larger thing when it comes to Miles Morales is not Peter Parker. He is a Spider-Man, but he's not Spider-Man. And that's why I think they should give him his own unique name. And whatever that name is, you can feel free to leave a comment down in the comments section, whatever you think that should be. Or, you know, if you want to fight me on this and say that, oh, he is Spider-Man. But I think now is the time to give him that unique name, be it in just these movies and the comic books. However, I think it's something they need to do because I think it would be good for them, good for him, and even the branding of this character to like let him step out of that shadow of Peter Parker, Spider-Man, the one that's been around for, I don't even know, it's probably been 60 plus years easily since he has been around. And I think now is the time for that because they did do things in this movie that really started to set him up as a more unique character. And I think, you know, through that commentary that was going on with Miguel O'Hara as he was beating him down, I'm kind of like, man, like I feel like now is the time. I feel like this character is starting to stand up and really have his own legs, as we can see that really in this movie, some of the villains to him essentially in this movie are other Spider-Men. And like I said, I mean, give him his own unique name. Like, I think Arachnid, you know, I think it was in one of the animated series or something, like he went by Kid Arachnid, but maybe like Arachnid. Black Widow's taken. And, you know, Black's probably not the best one optic-wise to use for this character either. But I think that doing something like that would help separate him and create less confusion when it comes to this character and him being a unique Spider-Man character. And I know some people feel like, oh, maybe they just need to end Peter Parker and all that stuff. And you can see discourse going on right now on the interwebs with regards to how they treat Peter Parker Spider-Man in the comics right now, as well as, you know, with his relationship with Mary Jane and just different things like that. But I think this mantle has been around long enough, the Spider-Man character has been around long enough that Peter Parker is solidified as Spider-Man, and giving Miles Morales his own unique name would be beneficial for that character, probably maybe help comic book sales, and maybe set up a whole new hero for kids and adults alike to look up to and really enjoy the stories. You get a chance to separate him from the pack. And it's got to be something different, because even like I was saying with Gwen Stacy, she's been known as Spider-Gwen, which I think is just silly because that kind of gives away her own, her actual identity of Gwen Stacy. But I think Ghost Spider was a perfectly fine name that she could be stuck with because she's Ghost Spider. You know, it's something different than Spider-Woman like they did in Across the Spider-Verse. And I think that's something that would be beneficial when it comes to Miles Morales. And that's not to say that he's not going to be a Spider-Man, but that's just if you ask me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I think now is the time that Marvel needs to step up and decide that they can give him his own unique name. And I know there will be pushback from fans of this character. And, you know, and that's one of the other things I hate, too, when people talk about regarding Miles Morales or any of these other characters out there. We're like, oh, like, you know, do people even like this character, or are there even fans and all these things? There's fans of all of these different characters out there in the world that are going to be upset by what the status quo has been set for these characters for so many years. But I do think that this character is now just a little over a decade into the making of this character, and this is the time to give Miles Morales his own superhero name. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.